respond non-reactively to toxic people and dynamics, we first need to learn to offer mature, non-reactive responses. It is an art of being mature. Secondly, it's important to learn to respond outside the box or outside the expected. Don't choose what is already programmed into us, automatic choice A or automatic choice B. When we become adults and learn to become more adults, we then are able to learn an option C. Thirdly, accept them as not you. Stay on your side of the relationship tennis net or the tennis court. Fourthly, differentiate in the response. You be different in the response than either what's expected or what they think you should be. And fifthly, respond rationally versus emotionally. I hope you'll subscribe, like, comment, and join the channel. I help you to outgrow, overcome, and move beyond your dysfunctional dynamics. We also respond to your comments and questions on YouTube. Number 1, learning to offer mature, non-reactive responses is an art of being an adult. Many folks who grow up in healthy families, that has been more programmed into them to respond in adult, mature ways with an appropriate amount of detachment, matter-of-factness, less pinging, less enmeshment. But those of us who grew up in dysfunctional families didn't get all that. So we have to learn the art of being mature in our responses to others. Giving non-reactive, thoughtful responses is a normal part of being a healthy, recovered adult. When someone says to me, I really think I've grown a lot, boy, I finally was able to tell my mother off because she said something and I responded and told her off. And I'm going, are you sure that's a healthy, because she grown a lot, boy, I finally was able to tell my mother off because she said something and I responded and told her off. And I'm going, are you sure that's a healthy, recovered adult you were using and responding to your mom? I'm not saying your mom's not frustrating, mean, narcissistic, or whatever she is, but your mom can get you to tell her off. I don't want anyone to get me to the point of telling them off. That means I am way too pinged. And so when we're learning to be a healthy adult and giving thoughtful, non-reactive responses, this includes remaining detached, not triggered or pinged, allowing them to be them and you to be you, accepting and expressing your difference in perspective, having no expectations of them changing, making the choice to just be you in thoughts and feelings. There is no hint of argumentativeness or defensiveness. This is just simply the way it is for me, in a matter-of-fact way. Because if we're arguing, we're already generally not mature. If we're being defensive, we're already more choosing an immature detour or an adult detour in an immature way. So we want to not be argumentative or defensive. Because the art of being a healthy adult, you don't have to do those. I don't want to do those. I'm not going to stick around for those. Secondly, it is important to learn to respond outside the box or outside the expected. If you're an adult child or come from a dysfunctional family, don't choose the programmed automatic A or B choice, choose the C choice. And I train people day after day after day about C choices, choosing a choice C. And I'll explain what I mean. When someone is dysfunctional in how they relate to you, they are expecting a certain response from you. Often A, compliance or agreement, or B, conflict and reactivity. I do not like to give either. I want to give C, neither of those. This takes practice, particularly if you've grown up in a dysfunctional family and had dysfunctional relationships. You can practice your responses before you even get into the situation. You typically can predict the questions, confrontation, and initial responses of others in your dysfunctional or in your healthy circle, either one. We have come to know these folks, and you know your family, you know what they're going to ask you. You know what they're going to complain about. You know what they get uptight about. So practice your responses ahead of time for when you get those responses from them. Here are the A or B responses. When Mary asks you to go out with someone you don't really enjoy being with, but Mary expects you to go, and she's a pretty good friend of yours, do you ignore her? Do you get reactive and argue with her? Do you feel guilty and don't want to disappoint her? Then you just immaturely lie or make false excuses, saying, oh, I can't really do that. I'm busy right now, and I just can't. Or is it possible for us to say, I don't really choose to do that? That's more of a C response. And that is a C response. Hey, Mary, well, I'm going to give you some examples of how you respond to Mary. This is a C response to that type of situation. Neither running for the hills and hiding so that Mary's not upset and so that the friend doesn't know you don't want to go out with her and Mary. Then we'll kind of hide, we'll not be an adult, or we'll just make up an excuse, oh, I'm busy that night, I just can't go. But as you well know, that doesn't resolve the problem because you may get asked again and again and again, and you have to keep lying, keep hiding. So if we take the easier way out, oh, well, I'm busy that night, then we're going to have to do an I'm busy that night many times in the future. And I think that becomes uncomfortable. It did for me, for sure. Sally says, Mary, I know you would like me to join you, and you'd like me to join you and Betty for that evening. I'm just not a big fan of Betty's. Or I might say, Mary, if it was a different friend, I might feel differently. And if you notice, I'm not shaming Betty. I'm not trying to criticize her. I'm also not trying to get Mary all involved in my relationship with Betty, because maybe we haven't got along well. Maybe Betty's been disrespectful or kind of a pain. And I don't really enjoy spending my time going out. And by the way, life has only so many minutes in it. I get to decide who I'm going to spend that time with. That's very important for me. And if I don't want to spend that time with someone, I have a right to do that. I don't owe someone that I have to spend time with them if they don't treat me well or we don't get along well. I might say to Mary, I would prefer to have us go out together, you and I sometime, or maybe with a different friend. And I really appreciate you inviting me. That's more honest, more authentic than Mary already picks up. There's no sense asking you in the future again to have you come out with her and Betty. Or we may also give another response in a mature way. Hey, Mary, thank you for inviting me. I had another idea for that evening. Maybe you, me, and Sarah, not Betty, or just you and me go out that evening. But if you've already invited Betty, that's no problem. We can plan something for us at a later time. Do you see how that's diplomatic, mature, responsible? It gives Mary, she has freedom to go do whatever she wants with Betty if she wants, but you would just prefer not to. You're suggesting an alternative. If she hasn't asked Betty yet, maybe Sarah and you and me can go out rather than Betty, you and me. So you're giving an alternative. But if she's already asked Betty, then now here's where it becomes more sticky when we're going to be an adult. Mary then asks, well, what do I tell Betty when she asks me why you didn't want to go? That's always a fun response. I like to educate and train people how they could respond when I tell them, well, Mary, you could tell her, hey, she can ask me. Mary, just tell Betty, hey, if you want to know, you can just check with Sally. Or you could say, I think my friend was looking for a different type of evening tonight, so she's not going to join us. Or you could say, Mary, if you want. 3 secrets to emotional detachment. Number 1, loosen old unresolved attachments. Number 2, practice detachment in the moment. And number 3, radically accept differences. Today's video is on loosening old, unresolved detachments. People ask me all the time, Jerry, how can I get detached? I just feel so enmeshed and just feel so fused to other people and get reactive. and I know I'm looking for a detachment. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know when to do it. What am I asking about? What am I talking about when I talk about detachment? And that is when we emotionally are fused or operating with other people's emotional field or emotions or emotional system. When their emotional system and our emotional system are intertwined, then detachment is pulling away from that so that we can be ourselves and connected and allow them to be themselves and allow them to do whatever they're going to do. But we're going to be free in terms of the emotional attachment. So why does emotional attachment seem so difficult? Emotional detachment is not easy. And this is the bad news. It isn't easy, but it's a worthwhile battle. Another reason why it is difficult is because it's often out of our awareness and unconscious. And so as a result, it can be difficult to access it, to get to it. And I think there are ways to get to it. I think there's a way to do that so that you can become more mature and less bound to the emotional relationship fusion that happens between people, family members, co-workers, friends. So the bad news is it's not easy and it's unconscious. The good news is it is possible to do it. It is possible to learn to detach. And another good news about detachment is a little can go a long way. If you do just a little bit of it, you can reap pretty big benefits. We don't have to become a totally new people to be healthy. What we want to do is to be healthy in a way that is like over that 51%. And then we have joy or satisfaction in our lives. Now, I think you can achieve much more detachment than that, but a little can go a long way. And you will achieve real changes that stick with you for the rest of your life. If you can work on detachment and become less attached to others in an unhealthy way. By the way, I'm not talking about healthy attachment, I'm talking about unhealthy attachment. That codependency, that where we're operating as one, where I don't have a self or they have too much self, or they have no self and I have no self. Those are unhealthy attachments. And the first secret I want to talk about today is loosen old unresolved attachments. Do your history work first. It will help you in the present. Deal with your past, and you can make your present more calm and less fused with others, and less likely to be fused with others. And this creates a greater self-confidence and a greater calmness within you. Because then the button's not there to push. If you have old unresolved attachments, then buttons are there where people can push them with their relationship with you. The fewer buttons we have, the more calm and the more we can be thoughtful and think about this and react and respond in a positive way. And in a mature way. This loosening of old unresolved attachments can vaccinate us against the excessive togetherness forces others will use to deal with their relationship with you. And again, much of this is unconscious for you and for them. But I think we can begin to make it more conscious and we can become more aware, whether they do or not. We're talking about us. We focus on us. Past triggers, past hurts, past traumas, past enmeshments are at the root of our inability to detach in the present. Past over-attachments
or the tendency to enmesh with others emotionally can be the sources of difficulty detaching in the present. And many times we wonder, well, why am I so stuck with this person? I just can't detach from them. I just can't be neutral. I just can't have as much of a self and allow them to be a self, their own self. I just can't do that. And again, it's because of those past things that we're not seeing or we haven't resolved. If you are enmeshed with your father or mother or siblings growing up, then we will probably experience, or you will experience, chronic anxiety for years or for all of your life. And you will be vulnerable to the inability to de-enmesh with partners, friends, spouses, children. And again, this chronic anxiety gets set up when someone is enmeshing and when someone is overly attached to someone. It creates chronic anxiety in us. Think about codependency. And I love codependency model. I'm certainly a recovering codependent. And I understand codependency, did codependency treatment in groups for years. And I like the term codependency. The only problem is I don't think the codependent model explains enough. That's my only complaint. It's a great term, and it does describe many things. And it is a way to come out of denial, to learn about codependency, which saved my life for certain. When we are codependent or when we are enmeshed or when we're connected to those old past unresolved attachments, then we have chronic anxiety that goes throughout our life waiting to be pinged. And as soon as it's pinged, we then do this enmeshment thing because of what's in us. And again, this sets up a lifelong experience of chronic anxiety, often unconscious, but still very active and can easily be triggered. This chronic anxiety has accumulated through our fears, fantasies, and fights. Fears from neglect, abuse, criticism, shame, low self-esteem, and low self-worth. Our fantasies, what we're still trying to obtain for our inner child, which can no longer be obtained as an adult from adults in the way the child wants. I know that's kind of a complicated statement, but what I mean by that is we can't meet those inner child needs the way the child needed it back when they were a child. We must meet them differently now, such as me meeting those needs for myself, rather than me trying to find the loving parent out there or trying to make my parents be a loving, accepting parent. And so we go searching for all these things. That leaves us with a lot of chronic anxiety. We're going to get pinged and we're going to have difficulty detaching and being ourselves. And then lastly, fights. Fights are conflicts or mixed messages that we've internalized. The unwinnable conflicts as a child, or even unwinnable conflicts with relationships that we've had. The rejections, the projected wrongness that's happened so much. Well, you're the one that's wrong, not them. And you're the one that's bad, not them. And then, of course, our many losses that we've experienced. Let me give you an example. John is the only son, and he's 31 years old. He's single. He lives very close to his parents, actually next door. And his family always were overly close and expected John to accept this as well, as normal. A good, loving family, or our family, needs to be over-involved in each other's lives and enmeshed emotionally. They said to him, when you get married, we will build you a house on our block and you and your family will live near and we can all enjoy the grandkids. sounds like an idyllic life. It sounds like a marvelous plan, unless that's not what you want to do. Mom says to John also, "Hey, John, Saturday your dad will be starting on remodeling the family room downstairs. We're looking forward to you helping your dad," which John has done numerous times. Not much having a life of his own and always working with dad because they like this closeness. And of course, I want to share this closeness is about their unresolved attachments and about their chronic anxiety, which gets transmitted through the generations to now John. And again, when someone is needy and when someone wants to enmesh or engulf you or wants you to be them, or it's about that chronic anxiety that they haven't dealt with in their lives. Now, John's decided he doesn't want to continue this pattern of just being an extension of the family of origin. He's actually a physician, financially independent, but still is expected to help dad do the project because that's what we do here in our family, and to spend most of his free time and weekends with the family. And this project, of course, is a way to do that. When he hears Mom's statement, "Hey, Dad's looking forward to you helping out this weekend. Dad's going to start on remodeling the family room." When John hears that, his chronic anxiety is pinged. And then the 3 F's kick in. When he hears that statement, these are the things that need to be resolved to help him be immunized in the future with his parents and others. His fears, fantasies, and fights. Well, what are his fears? He is caught in, I don't want to. And I don't want to deal with the fallout if I don't do it. I don't want to do it, and I don't want to deal with the fallout if I do say no. So now I'm caught, and now I'm caught in this emotional enmeshment. There's only A, comply, be a people pleaser, and make everybody happy, or B, say no, or declare a sense of self, or declare your own desires or wishes, and then have everybody hurt, confused, even angry, maybe critical, or maybe get lectures, or who knows, or some people get their financial support cut. There's all kinds of things that can happen from just saying, no, I'd rather not. John fears being rejected or feeling guilty for hurting his dad and mom's feelings. Because if he says no, they're going to feel hurt. And they're not going to understand, why would you say no? This is what we've always done. Are you just being kind of difficult now? And again, selfness often gets interpreted as just being difficult. And we don't realize, no, that's normal. I want to change the pattern and change how we interact. And I want it to include a self that's not going to feel comfortable to people who like it the other way. His fantasies, I talked about his fears, now his fantasies. His fantasies include, if I accommodate mom and dad or go along, I'll someday get my parents that I've always wanted, and they will give me unconditional love and acceptance if I just go along. Or they might even do the fantasy of, thank you so much for offering to help your dad and coming to help your dad, but we know you're busy with your life and you now have a girlfriend, and we understand if you want to spend that time doing that. And we love you no matter what. That's the kind of fantasy parents he's hoping for, or would try to pull out of them if he could possibly do it, by his compliance or by his going along. And you know how that works out. And lastly, his fights. He has this conflict with himself and his will versus what others want. What he would desire versus what others desire. And he doesn't like that conflict. So he resolves it with compliance. And guess what happens when we resolve it? We don't really resolve it. What we do is we just bring down our anxiety, our chronic anxiety. And that's why I'm saying if we deal with the chronic anxiety, we won't have to comply to bring that down, because we won't have that there pushing us into these A, B scenarios. If we deal with that chronic anxiety from the past, from our fears, fantasies, and fights, then we can discover option C. Rather than A and B, we can locate and find and offer an option C. In part of the fights that he feels, Jonathan, I just hate it when I hear my mom ask blah. I hate it when dad expects me to da 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 da. I always have to accommodate dad. I feel like he doesn't want me to have my own life. I'm so mad I just can tell them. I'm so mad I just can't tell them what I would like. And if I did, they wouldn't respect me. And if I ask for what I want, say that I don't want to help dad with this major project, which will take up a lot of my time, then that's going to be a problem. If I say no, they will feel hurt and believe I am ungrateful for all they have done for me. And of course, you hear some of the guilt tripping in there. And that tells me, there's guilt tripping going on. If you feel like, then I'll be ungrateful. Well, I mean, certainly we can be grateful to our parents for the things they have done. But the issue becomes, when is the debt paid? When do we stop owing? And I think that's a big question for a lot of folks. And that owing is a part of that unresolved attachment. I owe them. And so they did this nice thing for me, or they helped me through medical school, or whatever they did, then I guess I'm in servitude for the rest of my life to pay back this gift that they gave me, and that I should trade my life for that gift. Well, that is going to cause lots of problems, if not depression. And I've even known in times when it's caused even suicide. It really can be a problem when we have that owing going on, because it feels hopeless, like we can never get out of it. The best immunity for chronic anxiety and triggers is to resolve the past within you. And again, that chronic anxiety that's underneath and way back here in this part of the brain, and to resolve those unresolved attachments. That will help us to think clearly and be less enmeshed and more detached. We'll have more freedom to be detached. I also want to say, with John's scenario, remember, others' hurt, anger, reactivity is baked into the family emotional system. It's not just coming up right now, it's baked into the system. In other words, if I'm the parents, and they may be great parents at times, they may be not great parents at times, so I'm not judging his parents in that way, only that when someone then feels hurt because you want to declare self, or you have your own preferences or desires, then the hurt is manipulative. It's not real. It's what I'm supposed to feel, so you will change. And so, now, I'm not saying his parents realize that. I'm not saying his parents know that consciously. I'm just saying you know that it is used to get us to change, or to change back. But you're hurting me. You're not going to help your dad. He's been having trouble with that leg. He needs to help. Well, John had already offered that I'll pay to have your family room remodeled. He'd already offered that, hey, let's get some workers in there and get that done. Dad's more interested in having John there and working with him than getting the project done. He's more interested in helping his anxiety and his enmeshment than he is really doing the family room. So remember, hurt, anger, reactivity is baked into the system. It is also important that when someone assumes things about you, with you, and what your behavior is going to be, it's not respect. It's enmeshment. Oh, well, your dad's looking forward to you helping him doing this project in the family room. He's going to start this Saturday. Again, assuming you will do it, assuming you'll do it willingly and happily, assuming you'll be there on Saturday, and assuming you will work with Dad the whole way through, no matter how much time it takes away from your girlfriend or your life or extra time that you have. It's just assumed. And I think that assumption is a disrespect, because then they don't have a detachment where they could go, John, would you be available or willing to help your dad on this project? We understand if you don't want to, but I know he would really enjoy that or like that if you are able. That's respectful. But for many families, they're so enmeshed, you don't do those steps. You just say, hand me the salt and pepper. Well, I should be able to say anything about your granddaughter